Okay, we're back. This is week 5, video number 4. And in this video, we're going to start talking about article summaries and what article summaries are and how to write them. So just to review, so far we've looked at strategies for reading the journal articles, which is the first step in the process. Then we've looked at strategies for note-taking as you're reading so that you're pulling the information from the article and putting it in your own words. The final step is writing an article summary. And article summaries are a very common assignment that's given in dental, that's given in nursing, that's given in personal support worker. So you'll find that a lot of your professors will ask you to read an article or read a chapter and write a summary. And just as a hint, I am going to be asking you to do this next week. So it is something that you are going to be doing for a larger project. First of all, let's just talk about what an article summary is so that, we all know what the various rules are for an article summary. An article summary is a short, focused, single paragraph that goes over the main points of an article or a chapter. Okay, so it's simply one paragraph that somebody could read to get an idea of what the longer article is about. They're usually around 8 to 10 sentences long, although again, this can vary depending on the length of the article or the chapter that you're looking at. But 8 to 10 sentences is about the range that you're looking for. They're written in paraphrased format. Okay, so what they are is basically your summary, your written ideas about what the article itself actually contains. The main thing that you want to keep in the back of your mind whenever you're asked to write a summary is that a summary should be able to be read and understood by someone who has not read the full article. So imagine yourself reading a longer article or a longer chapter and then telling somebody what the article or the chapter was about. Okay? And if you keep that in mind in the back of your head, you will always write good summaries. You want somebody to be able to pick up your summary and quickly get an overview of what that article or what that chapter contained. How do you write one? Okay, well, it can be a little challenging to write and a little overwhelming at first until you get adjusted to writing them. They're actually, though, quite simple. Okay, so even though it may seem difficult at the beginning, they're really simple to do. The first thing that you want to do is write a sentence or two that summarizes the author's primary purpose in writing the article. So ask yourself the big question: what was the point of this article? Okay, and try to answer that question in a sentence or two. And then what you want to do is write short summaries of each of the author's main ideas. So again, go back, look at your notes. In your notes, you've been identifying or pulling what those main ideas are. Now all you're doing is sort of stringing it together in sentences. Once you've written your paragraph, what you want to do is revise your summary so that it reads smoothly from section to section. And then, of course, you want to go back to APA style. So to make sure that you're documenting your summary in APA style. These are just some general guidelines. I think it probably works a lot better if we look at an example. So I'm going to switch to the handout, writing an article summary, and we're going to take a look at that. This particular handout breaks down an article summary that's been written, and I think it's always easier to work from a model. Okay. So the first part of the handout goes over the different steps involved in the summary. So reading, writing the short summary of the purpose of the article, etc. But then the bottom half, or bottom 2/3 of the handout, gives you an example over here on the side where my cursor is of a summary that's been written. Okay, and then over on the side, it shows what the particular student who wrote this summary is doing. Okay, so here's the first part of the summary where the author's purpose is being identified, the author's name is being mentioned, right? And a reminder that you want to put quotation marks around exact wording that the author uses if you're going to be pulling some very, very quick quotations. Let's take a look, though, at what the actual summary has been written. We haven't read this article, so we're going to read it and try to get a sense of what the longer article was out. So this student begins, in this article, David Azar, that's the author's last name, 2016, observes that the manner in which healthcare providers demonstrate care and concern for their patients significantly influences how patients and their significant others cooperate with and comply with treatment plans, arouses patients' hopefulness and optimism about their recovery, and reduces the likelihood that patients will feel compelled to take legal action against their healthcare providers. Okay, long sentence, okay, but what it's doing is it's identifying the overall purpose, okay? So there's three big things, apparently, that this author is promoting or explaining in this particular article. You'll also notice the style, okay, in which the summary is written. So see that the author's name is mentioned. It can completely begin in this article, okay, or it could just start off with the author's name, a verb, okay, observes, and then goes into the author's purpose, okay? So again, remember that question, what was the point of this article? And if you answer the question about what the point of the article is in your first sentence, you've probably written a really excellent sentence that identifies the purpose. Then we're going to go on to the next section of the summary. Remember, if this were written out as proper, it would all just be one paragraph, but it's separated out just to help you see the different sections. In this section, each of the author's supporting points, okay, are going to be mentioned in the writing, and the author's name is going to be repeated as a reminder that this is a summary. Okay, so let's take a look at the first sentence that's been written here. David Azar, 2016, begins by noting the importance of making a favorable first impression, which, quote, may make the difference between a patient and significant others being cooperative or not with efforts to provide care, unquote, page 10. Okay, excellent first sentence, right? Obviously, there would be additional sentences going on to explain some of the supporting points. So here, the person said they go on to summarize how the author says to make a good impression, noting the major points in my own words. Okay, so in the student's own words, quoting not to fill space, but only if the way he says something is particularly significant. Okay, so there'd probably be a few sentences in there, right? Here's another point, okay? Other directions David Azar offers include, and then there's a list, okay, of some things that David Azar has mentioned in the article. The final part of the summary paragraph is a conclusion where you, the writer, are going to summarize the author's conclusions, okay? A nice way to do it is to use the verb concludes, right? So that the person who's reading your summary realizes that this is how the original author closed off the article or closed off the chapter. So David Azar concludes that, quote, positive bedside manners are essential when caring for patients, and he offers several reasons why this is so. Okay, so finish up with a short summary of David Azar's own summary, in my own words, offering a short version of what he says. Okay, so again, about 8 to 10 sentences, all in a single paragraph, making sure that you're identifying the purpose, that you're summarizing each of the supporting points that are made in the article or the chapter, and that you're summarizing the author's conclusion. Okay, so 3 parts to the summary. Again, all just in one paragraph though, but you have 3 goals, okay, to fill when you're writing a summary. You can also take a look online at a lot of examples of article summaries. There's a lot of them out there. Some are better than others, but simply reading through some of them will give you some ideas for the way they kind of sound or the way that people have written them. So I'm going to encourage you, if you have some extra time, to do a bit of digging around on the internet and look at article summaries, okay? And look at what people have written. Look at some examples. And maybe think about some strategies that you might use, some ways you might phrase things when you're going to be summarizing articles. Okay, so all of these handouts will be up for you in the weekly folder. I am going to come back with another video with just some suggestions about what to do for the rest of the time this week. But I hope you've enjoyed learning about reading journal articles, the Cornell method, and finally writing summary paragraphs. We'll talk to you in the next video. Bye for now.